Good evening and welcome to the FFS podcast. This is episode number 2 of season 2 of the It's Classified series. Now, to those of you who are joining us here for the first time, the It's Classified series is something that we started last year where we rank, grade, tier list, anything in the world of football, right? So it could be players, it could be clubs, it could be stadiums, it could be kits, it could be. And for today's particular episode, we are going to be tier listing the top 10 youth talents in men's football. These talents have been picked based on their total value or their current value rather. And this is courtesy of Transfer Market. Shout out to them for collecting all this data. And so we're going to be tier listing them based on several factors. The trophies that uh, they could win in future years, where the transfer fee that they could move for in future years, the clubs that they play for probably, or anything, or even it could be the number of minutes that they play. Now, I will show you the table that we have in a few short moments, but I am joined here for this particular episode by three very important guests, and I think it's only right that you get to know a little bit about them. And we will obviously start in alphabetical order. Now, his name on this podcast says Warrior Basti, but his name is actually Ojas. And Ojas, welcome to the podcast yet again. How are you doing? And why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hey, Pradi, thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm doing great, and I'm a Bayern Munich fan, and I support the German national team in international football. Um, as a Bayern fan, one of the things that I follow the most is the youth academy, and I'm very excited to discuss uh, who and what people think of the top 10 talents in world football today. So yeah, very excited to be here.
All right, great. And next week, move on to Srivastav. Srivastav, welcome back to the podcast. I see you. I don't know if you've enjoyed or you kind of didn't really wasn't too happy with today's result with Man City winning, which means that Arsenal do have at least some title challenge so far. But before we get to that, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Srivastav, and I'm an Arsenal fan, lifelong Arsenal fan. And I mean, I'm happy that I can talk about the given topic because most of players are all kids, and given where we are at the table, the kids are all. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to discuss all of this with you guys and everyone. To those of you watching us live or listening to us, please do, get involved, join into the chat. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. We are 4 panelists or guests here, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. But before that, Vedant, can you hear me? And if so, can you tell us a bit about
now I
yourself?
can hear you loud and clear. So I'm Vedant Maheshvari. I'm 23 years old, supporting Real Madrid since 2013, and yes, a big time Madrista and a Cristiano Ronaldo fan.
Of course, I think that goes without saying, right? All right, so guys, let's talk about this now. I'm going to share my screen to those of you who've been watching. You'll see what I mean, and I'll explain what we're going to be doing today, right? So as you can see, we've got 11 players. I know I said top 10, but I'll explain why we've got 11 players. We've got 11 youth talent, and now when I say youth talent, I mean under 21. This is the criteria that needs to be met for a golden boy winner or nomination. So we've got under 21 players, and we've got 11 of them, as you can see, and we've got 4 categories where we're going to be tier listing them onto, I suppose. So we've got players who we could think are Ballon d'Or worthy, not now, but in the future, definitely. We've got first teamer, which is we think that the player will be a regular on the team sheet for their team or whichever team he moves to, and so that's the second tier. The third tier is bench warmer, and I think that's self-explanatory, where the player will probably be warming the bench or would not feature too much on the pitch for whichever team that he is playing for in the future. And of course, the last one is soon forgotten, where we think that this player will soon be replaced by another upcoming player in the coming future or near future. Whether we think that he's gonna have, I'm not wishing upon an injury, but that could be one reason. Whether he just has poor season because he's joined the wrong team, or it could be any of the following factors that we probably discuss. All right, so I guess you've all got the lay of the land. I've explained this all to my guests, so they also know what we're going to be talking about. And so let's start off with it, right? So the first player on our list is Pedri. Uh, if I, to be fair, when I reached out to these guys about this topic, the list had actually shown that Jude Bellingham was number one and Pedri was second. So within a span of a week or so, Pedri's gone up a notch to rank one and Jude has fallen to rank two. And I think we will start off with Vedant because, of course, this is a player from La Liga. He is a La Liga supporter. Vedant, can you tell us a bit about Pedri and where do you think Pedri will fall in these categories? Hello? Oh, I think we're having quite a difficult network connection with Vedant for the minute. Okay, Vedant, can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Yeah, so we're talking about Pedri. So could you tell us a bit about Pedri and where you think, given as a rival fan, obviously we all have our biases, but where do you think Pedri would, how would his career turn out in the near future, and where would you rank him on this tier list?
I think Pedri is one of the top talents today in the world of football, and I think he's absolutely a generational talent. As a rival fan, I'm speaking. So I think he's gonna be on the first team. He is on the first team right now. He'll be there no matter what, I guess. So I think he's gonna be there on the first sheet ever. But I don't think he's a Ballon d'Or worthy winner.
Okay.
But yeah, he'll be on the first sheet. When you
All
see
right.
him,
Yeah, go ahead.
how he dribbles out of the tight space and carries the ball out and carry things forward in the final third of the field.
Okay, fair enough. Ojas, I want to get your thoughts on Pedri as well, because of course you faced your fair share of Barcelona, or your team rather has faced your fair share of Barcelona in the past few years. So what have you made of his talent?
So I think he's an exceptional talent that goes without saying. I think he is somebody who the only reason why I think he's not Ballon d'Or worthy is two reasons. One, I don't rate the Ballon d'Or. Two,
Okay.
the Ballon d'Or is very skewed towards goal scorers. But I think he's absolutely like somebody who has his best years to come. Who's somebody who's already started who's somehow found a way to bench Frankie De Jong, like both him and Gavi for that matter. But I think he's somebody who I think you should have had a category between first teamer and Ballon d'Or worthy, which is where I think Pedri would sit purely because of the position he plays. I think he's the Iniesta regen, if I could call that. But I think he's a brilliant player, and I Barca soon. Or I think by the time Barca stops existing, I think we can get him to Bayern Munich. I hope.
Fair enough. Srivastav, your thoughts on this as well?
I completely agree with him because the Ballon d'Or usually Modric. It's always been about who scores the highest goals, and so because of that, I don't think he'll be in the conversation like in the top three or something. First teamer, and also, yeah, he is playing at a real 21. I think he's some 18 or 19 only.
19.
Yeah, he's 19. So there's something to be, something to note, because he's playing at really high levels. He is keeping players more experienced than him on the bench. He is like a generational talent. But yeah, he was a very strong first teamer. Like the top 2 or top 3 players.
Okay. All right. I think I would agree as well. The problem I have, on not the problem, rather the worry that I have for Pedri as a player is the fact that he seems a little burned out. Like he'd been playing continuously for not only for Barcelona but for Spain as well. And I felt like there was that picture where he looked so haggard as a
Right.
like he looked 24, 25 rather than actually being a jovial little 19-year-old kid who would love to play. And I just feel like Barcelona need to manage him well enough that we've seen players like him who peak at such an early age and then they suffer burnouts because probably the team around him isn't as at his level, so he probably has to take that burden on himself. So yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him as a first teamer for now, anyway, and then
Okay.
we'll talk about whether Ballon d'Or or whatever towards the end. The
Right.
next player we have on the list is the next player. Oh, okay. So the next player that we have on the list is Jude Bellingham. So Ojas, I think let's start with you. Uh, just give me a second. I think Vedant is unable to join us because I think it's raining there, so it's affecting
Yeah, I
his.
think. Yeah.
It's I suppose Mumbai. It's just is it? It's really bad.
Yeah, man.
Um,
It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just told him to try joining when he can. All right, so yeah, just Jude Bellingham, of course, of Borussia Dortmund. There were a lot of talks this summer about where he could join, the front two runners being Real Madrid and Liverpool. I just wanted to get your thoughts. First off, how much do you rate him, and where do you see his career move on from Dortmund, if at
Great.
all?
So I think he's definitely leaving Dortmund. Brady, come on, let's not kid ourselves. It's a matter of time. Dortmund need the
Yeah.
money, and Bellingham is meant for bigger things. I think he's in my opinion. I do feel that Bellingham is probably more complete than Pedri for that matter. I think he's somebody who is unlikely to get burned out purely because I think what you made an interesting point about with burnout, and the examples that come to my mind are the likes of Jack Wilshere and Mario Götze, who were not really managed well, or even some players who got through, and most likely, like then injuries follow, and then essentially it's just a lot of misfortune. I think in that regard, Bellingham, among some of the players in the 2003 generation, is most physically ready. I think he's physically already a man more than a boy. I think also, though, the sad part about this is that he's used in a double pivot, which I don't think is his best position. I would use him as a if he went to Liverpool as a number 8 in that Thiago role where he can maybe join the attack, or like what essentially Naby Keita did last season, where he could join the attack. He has the speed, the ability, and all of that. If he went to Real Madrid, he could play a similar role where he could sort of be phased in uh, into the three with Chouameni and Kamavinga. So I think both the clubs are extremely exciting. Considering he's English, I have a small sort of a feeling that Liverpool will throw everything to get him because they cannot afford a Bellingham, Haaland, De Bruyne reunion happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's between Madrid and Liverpool in that regard. But I would put him down as Ballon d'Or worthy only if he moves away from the double pivot, because I again have this unfortunate. I'd prefer him to go to Vedant, to be honest. I really like Bellingham to go to Real Madrid over Liverpool, 100%. But I think with that entire England national team thing, I'm not sure how that will. But I would put him as Ballon d'Or worthy only and only if he moves away from the double pivot. And I think that will happen in a team like Liverpool or Real Madrid, which play a three-man midfield.
Yeah, definitely. So I think when it comes to the choice between Real Madrid and Liverpool, it's crazy because in terms of the price that he's going to garner or ask, that Dortmund's basically going to ask for him, it seems like an easy thing to say that Real Madrid are going to go for him. And I suppose it's down to Bellingham. If I were Bellingham, and I think Bellingham would be the perfect sort of perfect or would be a really good fit for Madrid as a Modric replacement. They've already got a replacement for Casemiro in Tchouaméni. They got a replacement for Cruz, I suppose, in Camavinga. And then you've got Modric, who could easily be replaced with Bellingham. And that would just set Madrid perfectly up for the next 10 years because, like we said, I mean, Madrid haven't, and Vedant will agree, I suppose, with me or disagree, I don't know, but they haven't spent on their midfield for in donkey's years. And for them to now again buy players who are so young, who would, play for them for the next 20 years, because where do you, if you, I mean, like, where do you go from Real Madrid, right? Like, the next step is a lateral move rather than a jump up. So it's down to Bellingham. I feel like if it's down to money, it is Madrid. But if it would be up to him, if it is Liverpool, it would be down to Bellingham saying, I want to go to Liverpool. But again, we'll see how that pans out. Vedant, I want to get your thoughts on Bellingham. I know you've already said that he's joining Real Madrid, but in terms of his talent and where do you think he ranks on this?
Actually, I think first of all, I'm gonna label him in a table. I think he's more of a first team player. I don't see him as a Ballon d'Or holder, though I see
I
him
mean,
as a
like
Luka Modric replacement.
so I wouldn't
Best for
say,
him.
when I say Ballon d'Or worthy, I don't mean like he'll win it, but just to be like in the top three
Yeah,
of,
yeah, in
or
that range.
yeah,
In that range, I'm saying.
okay, fair enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think he's gonna be in that range. Though Modric has done it already, and he's a replacement from him for him. I totally agree with that. And I tell you one fact: Real Madrid have net spent 60. The net spend of Real Madrid is only 60 million as of now, 2022. We have sold so many players for a good amount of money and bought few young players back in a very cheap price, I can say. We have paid literally very less for such good players. So I guess we have done a business of a lifetime. What we have done with Cruz from Bayern Munich, we took him for 25 million. He's a star. He's a gen, one of the best midfielders now. So I think if Jude wants to be in that list, if he wants to be at the top, he needs to come to Real Madrid.
Okay, all right. Srivastav,
Absolutely.
do you think he needs to move to Real Madrid also because I feel like trophies at Real Madrid will be easier to come by? So, in the sense that if you're going to be talking about Ballon d'Or worthy, Ballon d'Or is not only you score more goals, but you score more goals in winning causes, you win more trophies, and at Real Madrid, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but it's more likely than it is at Liverpool. And do you think
Yeah,
that?
that's
Yeah.
yeah uh, that's always there. But I think I don't think Liverpool will. I think Liverpool will go hard. I think Henderson is like 32 or 33, and then Milner is. I think he's going to just like not play or something. I don't know. So Milner's out, Henderson's out, and I think even so Liverpool do need someone like do, and I think Liverpool will go hard for him. And
Hopefully.
it also
Yeah.
depends on where Madrid decide to spend their money next season, right? Because let's say if Mbappe is available again, and then I don't think they'll wait a moment to sign him on a free. I think Madrid will go again, maybe either. So they need to plan that to how to get Mbappe. So there are lots, not a straight, what do you say, either Liverpool or Madrid. But I think like if the discussion, if the topic is just like where will he win balance, it like literally I think what last 10 years only this have been winning it. So that's always going to be there. And with Madrid winning every other year, that will, if you're a player, you will like, sway it. I think if Liverpool do go for him hard, I think it might just change his decision, because he's already had his foreign experience. So I think he'll go back, and hard he will go there.
Okay, but where would you rank him on the tier list?
So, I think first teamer as well.
Okay.
Jude Bellingham is. So the thing with Pedri and Jude Bellingham is just, I don't know, it's my opinion, but both of them are first and second because I only 18 or 19 or something. None of them are like 20, 21. So they are teenagers. So that also factors
Adds
in
value.
the price, adds to the price.
Yeah.
They are like, in the beginning, like, like in the top, sorry, not beginning, the top, they will like win a Ballon d'Or or even like come in like the top 5. They are very good midfielders, and they are put in that price bracket because they're, and I think for that reason, I think I'll go with the first teamer region only. He will be in the top 5 or top 10.
Okay, would you put, and this is a question for Vedant and Srivastav, would you guys put Jude ahead of Pedri or behind Pedri? In terms of
I
how...
think behind. I think Pedri is better.
Okay, Vedant?
Actually, I need to uh, have to speak it for a while. So I feel Jude Bellingham is more physical and Pedri is more technical.
Yeah.
Is what I see. Yeah. So I think they both are on the same level, but they both are different players in the same place, like in the same position, we can say. They're very different from each other. The technical ability of Pedri is unmatched. Absolutely, no doubt about that. But on the other side, Jude Bellingham has that physical presence in the midfield. Plus, he has that clutch nature in himself. So he produces so well in the final third. I can't rate him like below Pedri or above Pedri. I think it's equal for me.
Okay.
It goes equal.
I think it's
yeah.
I think like it's not fair to do. It's not a boxing match. One guy is short and thin, and I think Jude Bellingham was like 6 feet. He's 18 and he's like 6'2". It's not a boxing match. Like obviously the physical attributes do help in the sport. I think Pedri has the tempo of the entire game for his side.
Okay.
And which I think Bellingham doesn't.
Okay.
So
all right.
If suppose
At
you have
this
the
point
chance,
of
like
time, I
10
can say.
people are already the team, there's one free slot in midfield, and you have a choice of playing Pedri or Bor. And this is not like Pedri after 60 games or something. It's like both the one choice. Then I would go for Pedri.
Okay. All right.
I'll play both.
If you've got only one choice, we can't, right? Okay, I'm going to keep him here for now. The next player that we have, Ojas, is one of your own, and that is Jamal Musiala. What do you make of him?
I think he's again. This could be my bias, but I think, and since I do follow a lot of football, I do think that he is, in terms of sheer ability, probably the best on the list. And I think already, if you look at his numbers and what he's doing, both in the Bundesliga and the Champions League, even for Germany for that matter,
Yeah.
I think he's nowhere close to his potential, especially after he's played everywhere as a number 6, number 8, left wing, right wing. I think he's something really special. I do want to thank Chelsea for allowing him to come to us. So I think he's Ballon d'Or worthy. But again, the caveat being, I do not rate the Ballon d'Or. I think for me the category is like a world class player, and I think there is not much between Pedri, Bellingham, and Musiala. But I think what really sets Musiala apart is that he is this perfect marriage of like he's a 26-year-old in a 19-year-old's body, but he has the athletic ability of a 19-year-old still. So he'll get through those two players, but he's smart enough to look up and make that pass, but not be stupid like Leroy Sané to keep running crowd and or like killing a few fans in the stand. So so I think from that perspective, I think Musiala is, in my opinion, extremely talented, and I think the bright future ahead of him. I think he would have. Again, I have a slightly controversial opinion. Again, it's my opinion. I think if he had chosen for England, I think he'd be on the top of the list purely on his performances over the last season and a half. But I think because Bellingham is English and Pedri, again, I think it would be Pedri and him tied because I think Pedri definitely warrants it. But I think it does play a small part in his market value. And again, they're all the same age, so that's where my presumption comes from. But yeah, I think I put him definitely as one of the top talents on this list. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Srivastav, your thoughts on Musiala?
The thing is, I've actually never seen Musiala play, so I don't know how I can give an opinion. And he's young, and that's pretty much it.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, I'll believe whatever the others tell me.
Fair play. Fair play to say that, because most people would kind of say, they give their opinions, but it's actually from someone else because they've actually not watched them. But fair play to you to say that. But yeah, so let's listen to the others and let's hear what they've got to say. So Vedant, let's get to you. Jamal Musiala.
Same as Srivastav, haven't watched the league much, so haven't seen him play that much to set him on the list. But I can say he's a top talent, top tier talent, and I guess he's there with Pedri and Jude Bellingham, like level with them.
Awesome.
Just my opinion, seeing him ripping Barcelona apart.
That's always fun.
That's always fun. Yeah, I've seen him play for Germany, and he is quite a baller. But yeah, I think Ojas, it's a lucky day. We're gonna go with you, and
I think I'd lose followers on Twitter if I was a part of a final in which Musiala didn't finish in the Ballon d'Or category. So
yeah, all right. There we go.
If you don't have the question, yeah, at least put him there.
Okay, great.
Agreed.
All right. All right. Next, we go on to Gavi, who has recently signed an extension with Barcelona and has a release clause of 1 billion, which Barcelona so desperately need, I suppose. But let's talk about Gavi, Vedant, and how do you rank him as an opposing fan?
Okay, so as a footballer myself, I have represented my state and all. I think Gavi, I see myself in Gavi. I always see that aggression, towards his tackles and all. I do see him in it. I hate to see him in a Barca shirt. I hate it.
Okay.
Don't worry, when the club is liquidated in a year, he will be free.
Hope so. So, of course, I think he's a great player, and I guess he's one of the fewest players who have that defensive ability in himself. And as far as I know, he is doing great at Barcelona, and kudos to him, man. He's like a small package, but a burst of energy he gets on the field, it's absolutely stunning to watch.
All right, Ojas.
So I think he'll
be
on the first team, but he'll be in between first team, and maybe someone can come and replace him, maybe Nico Gonzalez or someone else. But yeah, he'll be there between first teamers and bench.
Perfect. Okay, Ojas?
So I personally like Gavi more than I like Pedri. Not because I don't rate Pedri, but Gavi, like Vedant said, is the kind of player you want on your team, who's like when the chips are down, going for the second ball, fighting to keep the team. It seems like a kid whose head will not go down. He has that
Okay.
workman like ethics. So personally, I am always biased towards players because ability can take you so far, attitude can take you all the way. I think Gavi sort of embodies that. I'm not worried about the release clause because I don't think Barca will exist post 2024. I think like genuinely every day I hear a new story about what these guys are up to. It's completely moronic, the behavior. So I think in my opinion, Gavi will be a first teamer. What I am worried about though is uh, actually with Gavi more than Pedri Pradi, the point you made about him being such a physical, such an aggressive player, and which is great, right? He's actually, I think, 2004 born. I think he's a bit younger than the other three. I'm just worried that
2004.
he's one one tackle or one collision away from being injured and that kind of setting him back. But ability wise, maybe not as uh, blessed as the three who we already discussed. But I think attitude and ethic wise, he'd be one of my players to pick. Absolutely, like the first place to pick. So I would say that he'll be a first teamer considering like Barca's midfield, and I think Sergio Busquets is anyway on his way out. So I think he's going to be there. My only worry for concern for him though is that I don't like how Xavi manages the team in terms of load management. So I just hope that he's eight, he turned 18 this year. I just hope he's a little more careful with him. But I would say
Right.
he's definitely a solid first teamer. Unless
All
Barca
right.
signs some random midfielder and they bench him for no good reason.
Fair enough. Srivastav?
I mean, like that when if you've seen, and I don't watch a lot, but you can see that when Gavi, he has that, like he can suddenly, he can go from that 0 to 100 like pretty quick. Like it's easily noticeable when you see him have the ball. So that attitude which he was talking about, like he's up for the challenge, and that's always
Yeah,
nice to
he's
hear.
up for a challenge. That's definitely true. He's up for any challenge, and that's the scary part.
That's always nice to see. So I would also put him in the first teamer. I think if and the one, especially with Gavi, like I think he's had like one season.
Yeah.
And it's I think a little less than the other three players so far, because I think they've all like had him right, like 2 complete seasons in the first team.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we idea of how Gavi will be like after another year at least. But I still go.
Yeah, you're still going for a first teamer thing, right? You got cut off
Yeah,
slightly with that.
I'm still.
Okay. All right, cool. I think, like, personally, I've watched a few games this season of Barcelona, and he does seem like the sort of guy who would. He seems like Barcelona's reply to Madrid's Casemiro in a way. It's just that he's young and he's just, but he's just tackling. He's just every ball pressing. His pressing ability is crazy, but I just fear that it might be a step too far because he was. I don't know which match it was, but he was just sending tackles left, right, and center. I don't know if it was against Bayern itself, but he was
Yeah.
definitely there in midfield and pressing a lot. But you just need to tell him to just calm down a bit, and you'll
Yeah.
get your chances because he seems a little bit too rash, right? It's fine at this age. You are going to be more excited. You're going to try and get every chance you can to get the ball back. But I
Mhm.
feel like someone needs to tell him, or at least Xavi needs to tell Gavi, like, hold on, dude. I mean, like the ball will come back. You can press in the right way, but relax a
Yeah.
bit. And because, like you said, just like
Yep.
any slight twist in the tackle that he does, and
Yeah.
he could really twist or break any part of his body. And at someone that young, I've seen in Michael Owen where he's had like surgery and he's gone from being crazy rapid fast to being nothing. And so like really slow. So it is a little dicey, and I suppose that's given the position and given the fact that he's not the kind of guy who'll dribble past people, but the guy who's making those crunching tackles. So fair enough, I'm going to put him behind that just because I feel like there is still,
just to add the point, even
go ahead.
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on to Gavi, just last night I was watching the Barcelona game against Mallorca. He was one step away from taking the red, and he has escaped like 2-3 challenges, which should have been red. So he's right there.
He's very reckless.
He is, but I guess at that age,
doing that all his life, dude.
Yeah, but I suppose I think it's understandable at this age that he needs to learn, obviously, but he does need to learn when to, given the position that he's in. If he was in sort of like in defense and he kept doing that, then you'd kind of worry for him. But given that position where he's supposed to break up play and start then passing the ball around, you kind of do need to learn at a young age as well to kind of know when to go press, when not to, and a red card and then you could easily change the game, turn the game on its head and against your own team. So yeah, I think
that's the thing. What I like about him is that only he will kill for the team,
yeah, but he could kill the team as well.
He will kill for a team. That's what I like about him, the passion, the aggression. Of course.
But yeah, it's just the vision that is also
you guys
required.
think that he's a little other like people or other young people like who play in the similar position? He's like the fastest amongst all of them.
No, he's not even.
Is there any other
close to being the fastest among them?
No.
I
think in terms of speed, he's definitely not fastest. I think even probably everybody on the list is faster than him. What he has though great
not
is
on the list.
No, I think in that position is what.
In that position, usually like people, the player that tries to break up play and all, they are not actually the fastest. And like at some
so I think
the player,
I think Srivastav
like Rodri and Fernandinho and then or all these players, none of these players are like fast.
But Srivastav, he doesn't play in that role for Barca either. That is the role that Busquets occupies. He plays in the number 8 role. And in that role, I think almost most players at big clubs are faster than him. The thing that is great about him, which makes him look deceptively fast, is his work rate. So you will see him chasing down 3 players, but it's actually like, like his acceleration or his speed is not necessarily his strength. His work rate is phenomenal. So he will chase down a player. So I think he plays that number 8 role. In the number 6 role, though, I think he's not been played there. So like Rodri and, for example, a number 6, even say for example, Casemiro, they would not be fair comparison because he doesn't shield the defense. He's more a number 8 who's like box to box in that regard.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So now let's move on to the next player, and that is Florian Wirtz. I think he is crazy. I mean, I'm like in the sense that I am very excited to see who buys him from Leverkusen, because I think he could really be an asset to most teams that are actually after him. But let's get a little more from Ojas. Ojas, Wirtz, someone to look at?
Yeah, I think Wirtz is amazing. I think he's again a player who can play across the front three. I think with him, what has happened is that if you look at him as a 15-year-old, he was considered one of those talents who might, end up in Bundesliga and just become like a player. But I think since he moved from Cologne to Leverkusen and they had him pegged as when he moved to Chelsea, I think he has like really outshone whatever expectations were asked of him. And you see Leverkusen are 16th in the table now. They're struggling to see goals come by, and Wirtz is a big reason because he is amazing in the final third. His final ball, his ability to create those goal scoring actions. One thing that is a problem, or one thing that unfortunately, is a problem that he had an ACL tear in February or March.
Okay.
He is currently out. But imagine he's that good that if he's fit, we are going to take him to the World Cup. Like Germany is he's pegged as a permanent member as long as he can be fit, and the World Cup is just over a month away.
Yeah.
I see him as the future for your Musiala and Wirtz are like Muller and Royce. But I think to be fair, they're both technically more sound. So I think Florian Wirtz, in terms of which club would move, from what I know, it is that Bayern have asked to be informed of any offers that would be made for him, because again we
Yeah.
have to at some point succeed Muller, and I think though that it is going to be between. I think it is going to be. I'm fairly confident it is going to be Bayern, unless he has a massive dip after coming from an injury, which I don't see because he doesn't rely on physical skill sets like speed so much as he relies on his passing and his game sense. So I
Okay.
would definitely put him as a solid first teamer.
Okay.
Again, the number 10 position he plays, I don't foresee him winning but if you would ask me if he's going to be world class, I think like the four names that we put, he'd definitely be world class. He'd be like a Mesut Ozil in his peak, or any of these number 10s, or Thomas Muller, or Marco Reus, or the likes of these players who've been very very powerful number 10s. I
Okay.
think he would definitely be that player.
Where in the first teamer category would you put him though?
I would again, by virtue of his versatility, I think he'd be one of my first names on the list. I would put him ahead of between, I think, Bellingham and Gavi.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I think because of his injury, it would be fair if he's put forth purely because he had an ACL tear, and I do not. It genuinely scares me when an 18-year-old having an ACL tear is like.
Yeah, but I suppose it is of some solace, like you mentioned, that he does not rely purely on pace,
Yeah,
because that is the area that people like speedsters sort of fear,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
that really uh,
yeah.
hurts their cause. Srivastav and Vedant, any other comments on Florian Wirtz, or would you agree with what Ojas has to say?
No, I have no clue, dude. I've never seen him play second Bundesliga.
Yeah, I would like.
Go ahead, Vedant.
Please go on. Please go on. Okay, so I would like to add on a little bit to what he said. I absolutely agree with him. He's a good talent. I haven't seen him that much, of course, because of Bundesliga award, of course. So I think last season he played less games. So I guess because of the injury at this age, at the age of 18, is a disaster for a young player. That is what is happening to Ansu Fati, I guess, right now. He's in
Yeah.
the same situation.
Yeah.
He is trying to overcome his shadows. So I hope he recovers well and come back stronger. I hope to see him soon enough, in Bayern Munich itself. I don't see him going anywhere else. Of course.
Sure.
So I would keep him as a first teamer, but behind, of course, for fair play reasons, behind Gavi
Yeah.
and Jude Bellingham also. Yep.
Fair enough. All right, great. Now we get to Srivastav's player, and that is Bukayo Saka, England's golden boy of some sorts. He, of course, post the Euros, things weren't that well, but for Arsenal right now, he has surely taken up the mantle of being one of their star players since last year. With the fact that Aubameyang leaving, Lacazette not performing to full potential, it was him. It was down to him and Emil Smith-Rowe. And I just want to get your thoughts, Srivastav, on Bukayo Saka, and what do you make of him, and where do you think his career is going to go? Because he's already at a Premier League club, which I know you could go to like a Bayern Munich and a Real Madrid, and those are clubs outside. But I suppose for an Englishman being in the Premier League and at a club like Arsenal, he's an Arsenal boy as well. So could he be at Arsenal forever? Do you foresee that? Do you foresee a bigger, I wouldn't say a bigger club, but a club like Madrid or Bayern Munich? Sure, fair enough. Be a bigger club come for him in the near future.
The
Personal attack.
thing is,
That's okay.
sorry.
I said he said personal attack on Arsenal.
Oh,
Please go on,
personal
Srivastav.
attack. Nah. Last 4-5 years and all Arsenal, yeah, questionable only. But next contract he'll sign for sure. I think he publicly said it also. Yeah, for the next 3-4 years, at least 3 years, he'll be in Arsenal only. See, the thing about Saka is, if he just adds a bit more goals to, he's the best player on the entire list. His return, his goal returns is actually a bit, especially if you watch him every week. Every other aspect of his game is very good. You know, he can also for Arsenal also, and he can play on. He usually plays on the right, but like left wing also. So he has a more complete, like, he's an all-rounded player basically. And for that reason, first teamer he's already like a first teamer for Arsenal for like the past 2 years. So for sure. But if his, like, goal scoring improves in like the coming, be in the Ballon d'Or worthy level. But for that, he needs to score like goals, minimum 15 goals every year. But I think last season and even this season, I think he's already scored once or twice. So his goal scoring is a little distinct. He can cross, he can dribble, he's fast.
Could we see him? Could we see him like be in a similar category to what Raheem Sterling was? Like brilliant on the wings, dribbling, pace, everything, but the finishing is questionable, to say the least.
Yeah, you can make some like comparison like that he needs more chance that, but every other aspect of his game is like pretty good. So that's a fair comparison. Correct that or improve that. I think he's a very good player. Put him in the
Ojas?
And also maybe this is also possible that maybe he can stay in 3-4 years, but then if some other like a club like Madrid go, because who can turn down Madrid? Like, let's be honest, like brink of what like they're gonna die or something, that whole club, and still people like Oba was playing for free, dude. That was so funny.
Yeah, I mean Barcelona. Yeah,
300 decided to go play for them for free. So the pull of Barca, Madrid, and all is like you can't really compare. So he might go there a few years later, but in the near future, I see.
Okay. All right. Ojas? Okay,
So
wait. Wait, Ojas,
yeah.
let's get to Vedant first. So, Vedant?
Sure.
So I would like to add 1 point to Bakasaka's positive range. So I think what he said is right. He has that flair in himself to outscore his opponents in the same league. I think he can do a little bit better with scoring goal, being more productive in front of the goal. I think that's the thing. He has to be there. Otherwise, he's a top talent, as these players are. One negative thing about him, I guess, what Srivastav told us, that he told us that he can play on the right wing as well, on the left wing as well. But I don't see him playing anywhere else other than the right wing.
Okay.
Right
So you're saying
wing is
he's
his position, but
I think he is the left foot merchant.
But
don't get me wrong, but I think he is a left foot merchant. But
no, what I'm trying to say is he's actually played left back for Arsenal for a few games. He's got the awareness to the other side. He can.
So that's one negative thing for me. So his
defensive work rate is also.
Yeah, totally agree with the defensive work rate and all. But what I feel is there's no players other than the right wing, I should say, because I think at that position he's doing great things. He will continue to do great things there only, but he should be played at that position only. I don't see him playing in the left
Yeah.
wing and yeah,
So yeah, you're
bending the
saying
crosses. Yeah.
yeah. So play him at the right wing would be his best position, and yeah, fair. Okay.
Yes, like there's no
More of an
questioning
iron
that.
Robin, of course.
Yeah. Or just
Thing
quickly your thoughts as well on this.
I think Saka is quite versatile. I think he can play in the midfield. I think he's played a few games there. I think he'll play on the right wing. I think again, and this is not a slight on Arsenal, but I think if he went to a club that suits his style of football, or even Gareth Southgate, or even Arsenal adapt to the style of football where goals are expected of the wide players, I think him not scoring goals is a product of his system where he's in that more ancillary role where he's not necessarily a goal threat. But imagine for the longest time I have felt like whenever Liverpool would have sold Mane, they would have gone for Saka because he has a directness to his game, which
Well, we did. Too
you
bad
did
that
go
he
for
plays
Saka.
for a
Okay, yeah.
rival. Yeah, it's too bad he plays for a
Okay.
rival like Arsenal.
So I think he has that goal, direct nose to the goal to him. I don't think he's not scoring enough goals because of his inability to, or that's something he needs to work on. I think it's just not expected of him, right? Like it's like, for example, like a winger like Perisic is expected to cross and provide. I think Saka in that regard is expected to sort of help create those situations, but not necessarily be in those situations. But if he went to Liverpool, where he'd be say part of the front three with say somebody like a Salah and a Bobby, I think he would probably do well to score a lot of goals. There from a pure goal scoring perspective. I don't think though that 15 goals or scoring a lot of goals will make him Ballon d'Or worthy for one and one reason alone. Because I think in terms of output, Erling Haaland, what he's doing in the league right now is ridiculous. I think he's on
Yeah.
14 goals in October. I think he is going to. I think he's going to retire by 20th match day because it's like he's playing FIFA on amateur mode at this point. So I think from that perspective, somewhere I think the only reason the way I see it is that if Arsenal can come back to their golden days, which there are early signs of, but I do think that they have a thin squad in that regard. But I do think that if Saka is made the periphery of the team and with somewhere either if he plays off Jesus or if he's expected to get into situations, I think he'll be a lot more impactful because he's somebody you need running at your players. He's not somebody you need to spread the game wide. But I think that's how Arsenal play and it's working for them. So the collective goal over the goals of the individual. So I think for me, Saka is a solid first teamer. But I also worry slightly that if Arsenal particularly don't do well this season and they sign more attackers like they did with Nicolas Pepe, I think Saka is the kind of player where his versatility will hurt him at some point, where he will be the player accommodating new signings. So I think Saka should be earmarked and permanently nailed down as the right winger, and I think he does have to also earn it because he's young, but I think he's on the right path for sure.
Okay. Where would you guys put him though in the first team? Because all of you said first team, but where would Srivastav, let me ask you, where would you put him as a first team?
as a first team.
Yeah, where in
I
the
don't
first team?
follow. On the right wing.
No. I
In
mean,
which
in the
order
first
of
team
these players?
category, where would you put him between any of the players? Where in the list that I have?
Okay. Like in
So,
between in the sense.
yes, like here. So do I put him here? Here? Where do I put
Yeah, in the
place Saka?
okay, like that. Maybe ahead of the last years. That Words guy, I've never seen him play, so maybe ahead of him. Yeah.
Okay. Would you guys agree with it?
I wouldn't, but again, it's a matter of Srivastav not having played with. So it's perfectly fine if you put it. It's not fair to Srivastav. He's not seen the guy
Where
play.
would
I
okay.
think he should be we should put him ahead of Gavi.
Ahead of Gavi? Okay.
Yeah, you
And
can
Ojas would say
actually
at
because he's
the
had
at
like
the
he's
end of
senior to Gavi
words.
as
Yeah,
well.
I would say at the end because I have a bias for Gavi and Wirtz. So again, it's not These things are not objective, man. Come on. It's but I
Yeah,
would
I
completely
know,
okay if he should.
of course. Yeah, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Okay. So personally, where would I put him? I would probably put him. I'm gonna put him here. Yeah, you can come at me. I don't care. Okay, let's move on to the next
Yeah,
one, and that is
Freddy,
yeah.
you haven't told us what you think about him. Could have an eye on him a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I thought, like Ojas mentioned, I thought he would be the replacement for Mane. After Mane left, I thought we were going for him, and at that point, Saka wasn't. To be fair, especially after the Euros, when things weren't that great, and then there were questions about Arsenal whether he'd sign because Arsenal weren't doing that well again as well under Arteta. So I thought perfect opportunity to go ahead and get him because under Klopp, I think he would have really developed a lot. And of course, with Mane leaving, he would have been the perfect, uh, you know, player to replace him. Of course, we have Luis Diaz and all that, but I felt like he could
But
have
then, where would he
taken that role.
play in Liverpool?
Left, I guess.
Nah,
I know
bro.
he doesn't
Nah.
play. I know he doesn't, but or maybe he plays as that false nine where Mane eventually ended up. I don't know exactly where, or probably give Salah a break and play him as a. I have no clue, but I just felt like that was a talent that you cannot let go of. Like if Arsenal was selling him or were interested in selling, go for it. Like then you figure out where your positions are and what you can do with him. But like with that sort of talent and that English him being English is a positive because you need that homegrown player and all of that. So with all of it being done, and I'd love to see him under Klopp. I think he would have been really exciting to watch. Where is up to Klopp? It's not my deal. Okay, my deal is just that I want to see him at Liverpool. Then it's up to Klopp to decide where the hell he wants to play him. All right, let's now go on to Alphonso Davies, or just a player that,
Hmm?
of course, had a lot of potential at the start, then sort of drifted a few years later, a few seasons down. I'm not sure where he would be
Mhm.
right now.
No, I think he's actually. I think he's still up there. I think he's not drifted. What has happened is that in December 21, after COVID, he had a heart condition, which is
Yeah.
why he had to not play for 4 months. But I think in terms of form, he's not very dipped. I don't think he's. I still think he's the best left back in the world on current form. Also, if you just look at even the Barca game, right? They had to ask Rafinha to go to the right flank so that they could put Dembele on the left, and they were not as successful with. And I think he's something special because his it's not his speed or his dribbling that really excites me the most. I think it's his recovery. I think it's something that where he can create this false sense of deception that okay he will just let people get ahead of him, and I think that's a tactic that Bayern employs so that they can counter press better. So I think the only reason why his value is dropped is, or probably by transfer market, because again, is because he has not played a lot of football since April. But I don't think it's a physical condition which would be like in the case of Words or like we discussed with maybe Gavi or we'll discuss with Fatih in the slides to follow. I think with Davies, it was a heart condition which is something that is called like a product of long COVID.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
not something that will set him back at all. He's already showing why he's one of the best players in the team for us, and he's the first name to start. Like we don't have a backup left back, so if you're like the only left back at Bayern Munich, I think you're doing something right. So I would
Okay.
definitely put him as a very very solid first teamer, and I'm sure like he walks into most teams in left back position. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I suppose. Yeah, I would agree on that. Vedant.
So first of all, I would say if a defender, I think if you ask me a defender who has a potential to win Ballon d'Or, it's him. It's already him. And I would pray to France football. I would beg to France football to acknowledge defenders also for the
nahi
Ballon
hoga
d'Or
like
award and for the big awards. I would
Yeah.
if they allow defenders to win Ballon d'Or, I would put him in that Ballon d'Or worthy category. The guy is amazing. The speed, the recovery, the forward runs. Absolutely amazing. Like I can't
Okay.
make off any other left back right now in my mind who is better than him at this stage. And it's not even his peak. He's not even on
Yeah.
his peak right now.
Yeah.
He will
Yeah.
improve. So I
Yeah.
think for me, Ballon d'Or worthy defender.
Okay. All right. Wow. Great. Oh, just like smiling from ear to
I would
ears right
agree.
now.
Of course.
Yeah.
I
Srivastav,
mean,
would you
he's
agree as well?
First bracket. I think he's the best player on the entire list. Like that's my opinion. I think yeah,
Okay.
first bracket easily.
Woo. Okay. All right.
Friday. Do you think he's
Now,
better than Robertson?
uh,
He's not.
I
He's
think
not better than.
I think in terms of his age and the fact that the performance he's showing, yeah, but it's not by a country mile. Let me put it
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
I would agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he
I
can
think
just cross better, attack better, defend better, and pass better than Robertson, but not by a lot. I'm just joking.
I
I love
think
Robertson. I'm just teasing him.
I think in terms of
Shots
Robertson, given the uh,
fired.
I think Robertson, given the I think over the past few years, you would say probably has been more consistent. But I guess that is also down to his whatever issue that he had. I think 21 though
Also,
was probably a season where I think Davies wasn't at his best. I'm not saying that he was the same,
but
but
that's because
probably I
Friday
don't
he
know if
didn't play
yeah,
for a
I
long
guess
part.
no, yeah, I guess that does come to it, and fair enough. Like
Right.
with all of that happened, but I'm just saying that it's not by like a country. You give me either
I
of the
agree.
two. Give me either of the two. I'll be happy with. Of course,
Mhm.
Davies with the age advantage would probably pip
Mhm.
Robertson. But I think in terms of the work ethic, I think both would run a country mile for you if
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
did. I think in terms of like I've seen Robertson run like a maniac from left
Yeah,
back all
yeah,
the
yeah.
way to
He's
center. So I
so
think
I think
yeah,
one
I was
advantage
waiting for
that
that.
I think one
Yeah,
advantage that Freddie Robertson has over Davies, and I mean this in a positive sense, is that Liverpool have had a consistent system because they've had a coach for so
yeah,
long. While since Davies has joined, this is his third coach, right?
yeah.
It's like even in a defensive position, your interpretation of the position keeps changing. So I think that's where again, like defenders are the most easy to look bad on a lot of levels. Like
Exactly,
it's easy that they
exactly.
look bad, but it's most likely them covering up. Like I used to always give this example of Laurent Koscielny, where everybody would
Yeah,
be like, he always concedes a penalty. I'm like, look at the guys around him. It's the only thing he's now left to do is go in for the tackle, and like it's a hail mary. So I think in
exactly.
that regard, I think Robertson does like the consistency with the coaching, the system really helps Liverpool a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think, but that is reality. So he's done well for that.
Yeah,
We'll see if things were to change in the next few years and he does find
yeah,
himself playing against someone else. I'll be interested to see how it is. But Klopp gets the best out of him and best out of most
absolutely.
players. So I
Yeah,
suppose that comes.
I think Liverpool is already among the top 10 teams in England as of the EPL table today. So it's a good thing.
Only. Yeah. Wow. I didn't think we were in the top 10 as well. All right.
Yeah,
So
I
the
think you
next
are.
one, and the next one, Vedant, we come to you, and that is Rodrigo, young superstar from Brazil. Uh, I'm not obviously not. I'm not about Vinny, but obviously on the other side, Rodrigo. I want to know what you make of him and where you see his career go. You think he's going to be at Madrid for the long haul?
So is my internet okay?
Yeah, yeah.
First of all.
Slightly off, but yeah, I can hear you. But your video, yeah, now it's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna say the this boy is having a breakout season this season. Absolutely, he's gonna shine. He's gonna shine. And comparing him to Vinny, I was gonna say we can't compare him. He is
Yeah,
much
yeah.
more clinical. As a Real Madrid fan, I'm
Oh,
saying he's much more
yeah,
clinical.
yeah. He is.
He is much
I've seen
more
it.
better than him in front of the goal.
Yeah,
That's
I would agree.
absolutely Yeah. So that's the thing with him. I think he's having a breakout season. I think he should start more. I think Angelotti should give him more priority ahead of. I think he is ahead of Asensio, Hazard, and what all
Oh,
Mariano and who all are there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's easy to
So
do.
Hazard, I said Hazard. That easy,
Yeah, yeah,
but
I know. I
okay.
said that's easy to do right now, given the others' current forms, like Hazard
Yeah,
especially. Like that was probably his
especially
biggest
Hazard.
threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's gonna shine bright. I think Madrid are developing him as a number nine now, as they seen his calmness in front of the goal in the 18-yard box. I think they're gonna uh, change him to a number nine, and I think he'll be the basically a substitute, basically next. What do you say? Next to Karim Benzema in the list for the number nine role.
Okay. Ojas.
I think he's amazing, man. I don't know how Real Madrid gets these amazing
Can you hear
Brazilian
me?
kids. Yeah, we can hear you. I think I loved that moment in
So that's
the
that.
Madrid derby.
I think
I think
Madrid
it,
not.
Oh wait, Vedant. I think you got cut off for a bit. So, yeah, we're just talking to Ojas right now. We'll come back to you. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I was just saying, like Rodrigo's. I think the trajectory was, and I think Vedant can add more here. Maybe is that the Madrid derby was the whole dance winning thing. And I think when Rodrigo scored, it was really beautiful that, like him and Vinicius dancing and that entire sort of thing. But I think what's interesting is that everybody was talking about, and Ancelotti spent a lot of time with Hazard, keeping him as the shadow striker when it was clear Mbappe wouldn't come. And this boy who's played on the wings for, a majority of his very, very short career as of now, very brief career, I think I don't think Madrid need Mbappe if Rodrigo can continue to, because he seems like a good guy. He seems like a good guy. He seems like somebody who listens to the coach, and even the City elimination in the Champions League was so beautiful to watch. It was like a complete Rodrigo show where he came in and turned the game around. I think he's definitely a contender for the Ballon d'Or in my opinion. I think he will if Real Madrid continue to shine like they're doing. What I would worry about with him would only be if Real Madrid sign a Galactico like a Haaland or an Mbappe, which is not beyond the realms of reality.
Yeah.
But I think otherwise, if Real Madrid were to persist with this team, make a couple of similar signings like maybe Endrick from Brazil, I think Rodrigo, because of his output in front of the goal, I think he's very very likely to be a Ballon d'Or contender in my view.
Okay. Srivastav.
Yeah, I mean, whatever I've seen of him is I don't watch La Liga a lot, and he seems very clinical, especially the game against City. Yeah, he seems like I think he's also quick. He's quick. He's
Yeah.
clinical. He's got the and I think but I don't know. Like the point convincing. I don't know why, because he's not starting as of now. Most of the previous players we talk now. Most of them are like if they're seven for sure, and he's not done that yet. I believe like gonna start always, right? Like better to ask like a Madrid fan here. Like even if he's fit, he's not playing every week.
Yeah, I don't think he's the first name on the team sheet every week. I think Vinny obviously gets the nod on the left hand, but on the right hand, I think they do switch. But like Rodrigo is probably the best of the lot that they have. So
I think it's Valverde who starts
Okay.
on the right.
yeah, Valverde again. There are a lot of players who are so versatile. That it could be Valverde, it could be Asensio one day, it could be Hazard if he wants to. It could be I forget the other one, probably Mariano, someone. Then it's probably
They have Lucas
Rodrigo.
Vasquez.
Yeah, I don't think Lucas Vasquez gets that nod ahead of Rodrigo, but yeah, I think in terms of being a nailed-on starter, Rodrigo isn't, but I suppose that also could be fair play for Carlo to sort of embed him into the system and not burn him out that much. Like, he is so young, and he has, like, when he comes onto the pitch, he does make a difference whenever he plays. So it's just a matter of time where once these guys get rid of someone, like they've got rid of Bale, so next they get rid of Hazard and all that, then probably they get them in. All right, so but where would you put him though? As a first teamer, where would you?
I don't think it will be fair to put him in the first teamer. That's what I feel like. I think he should be a.
No, but yeah.
Because so far, I don't see it. So far, improvements also, if you see for Rodrigo, it's only because he plays for Madrid. So,
Okay. No, but we're talking
he's
about
scored
in
a
the
few
future,
goals,
right?
I
So,
think.
but in the future,
Sorry?
we're talking about. So, no, so this is all
So,
we've been
like
predicted.
how,
So, we're talking about in the future.
like how he said that it's very possible that Madrid can buy the earth, and he'll continue being this guy, like the guy who'll come off the bench, or start the maybe he won't start every game, but he'll start a game here and there. So it really, you can't say for sure that he'll be like the first names of the team or a Ballon d'Or.
Okay.
So I feel as of now, I would put him a level below all the players.
Okay. All right. That's a bold
discussed so far.
statement. Okay. Vedant, you go ahead. Can you hear me, Vedant?
Vedant has internet issues, I think.
Yeah.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was gonna say to Srivastav, as of right now, we have stopped signing Galacticos. First of all, we have absolutely stopped signing Galacticos on our team. We are a team which we are a team who are building on youngsters, right? So I don't think that in recent
I mean, though you were
in any
close to
future
I am
times we
signing
are signing any
gonna believe this
Galacticos.
shit. You guys are trying for Mbappe for so.
Mbappe, yeah.
I'm not gonna believe any
Or
of this
Haaland.
thing. Or Haaland, yeah, Mbappe or Haaland.
The thing though, I do
For
understand is that
100 million?
no, I think though I get what like Vedant saying is that the whole team isn't built on Galacticos. Is that you get one or two key Galacticos signings, but the rest will
No,
be.
I understand that there is a slight Galacticos of the past, but I still think it's not like it's not. It's just like a different
Acha,
variation of
chalo.
Galacticos.
One thing, please name me 3 Galacticos on our team right now. Can you name them?
No, the point I'm trying to make is you were trying for Mbappe, you didn't get Mbappe, you bought an 80 million midfielder. So it's not like that in the future that you won't sign another big name player. It won't happen next season. Or that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't know if you even heard me. So this is
Yeah.
No,
Vedant,
I heard you.
yeah.
Your voice in a little bit. So
Yeah, so I think what he's
coming
trying
to
to
me
say is that
properly.
So what he's trying to say is that like you did go for Mbappe. So there is sort of a indication that you will go for one or two Galacticos, but I'm not saying it didn't work out this time. But otherwise, you would have had Mbappe, and that would have been one Galacticos. But I also see your point by saying that yeah, you will go for one or two, but the majority of the team won't be built on Galacticos like the old era where you had 2 or 3 Galacticos in every part of the field. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can
all
I
right,
say something, Brady?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to say about Rodrigo very quickly. I think the fact that he doesn't start for Real Madrid should not be a reason why he's a bench warmer, because I don't think a lot of these names in the first team would start for Real Madrid either. Right? I'm being very objective here. I don't think Saka walks into the Real Madrid team, neither does Jude Bellingham right now. And I don't think same for Gavi. So I think it's not a fair comparison to make. I think it's a potential thing where a player based on their potential ability on what they've shown in glimpses. Like for example, Rodrigo would is completely outperformed because Benzema got injured. But that's how football works, right? It's one man's misfortune is another man's it's another man's luck. So it's I don't think it's the right thing to talk about because Rodrigo walks into I think the starting 11 of 18 out of 20 Premier League clubs,
Yeah, and
right?
another player
So
that we missed
Nah,
out
nah,
on.
nah.
yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think so, man.
I don't
Not
think
18 out of 20.
considering
Not
I okay, sorry,
18 out
20
of
out of
20.
20 Premier League clubs.
Nah, nah,
So
No,
nah.
I
That's
think he does.
better.
I
Thank
don't.
you.
Like in terms, yeah, no, but I would say he does walk into he would walk into our team. To be fair, like he would
He'd
be an
walk into
upgrade
United.
on.
He'd walk into
He would walk
Chelsea.
into yeah.
He'd
Please,
I
He'd
think
walk into
so
even
you're
Arsenal
saying
for that
do
matter.
not let him
Rodrigo
play for
would play
United.
ahead of.
I'm praying you. No United shit and all. Please.
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. What's
So you're saying
Srivastav?
Rodrigo, like, what are the other teams are we comparing here? Or ahead of what? Sun and. I think you're just. This is like.
Well, I think
I don't know.
again that's why I said
Maybe
18
I'm
out of
not
20
fully
clubs, right?
things.
No,
I
I
don't
think
think.
it's
Honestly, I don't think if Rodrigo came to Arsenal, I don't think he'd start ahead of.
bro.
I
Your
don't think
best
so.
player was on the bench for City. He didn't play for City. He only got his chance at Arsenal.
Bro,
So I don't think
Srivastav,
you
we
should
are
be making
saying
such bold
that's
I
Yeah, I
don't
statements.
think
totally
so.
that's
I
Your
don't
okay,
think
totally
best
so.
okay,
If he
players
okay,
walks, if he'll
are
just walk in. Nah. This is
no, but
okay.
he
Fine.
definitely.
All right, guys. Let's.
that's totally
Okay, I
brutal.
think anyway majority wins. I have to. I'm going to put
Ballon
him
d'Or.
here. Yeah, I
Rodrigo's
am
going
going
to
to
win
put
He
him
has
because
the
Ballon
majority
d'Or.
wins.
potential
I have
to for sure.
but personally, I've seen him, and I think at Real Madrid, if he starts to, I see him in the future
Of
becoming a
course,
first
as
teamer, and I
he
feel,
has won more
yeah,
Champions League
I
than
think
the
he's
club
like,
itself. Gunners.
all right. Let's move on quickly now to Wesley Fofana. Now I want to know where you guys think. I would say that he would be my first bench warmer because I feel like he's probably been shafted by the price tag a bit. Uh, I don't think. I mean, he's a good player, but I really don't see him. Chelsea's it's a tough thing because like you mentioned, which is like a Bayern, he's gonna face tons of new managers during his Chelsea career.
Yeah.
If the Chelsea career is going to be long, and I can't see him being everyone's cup of tea. Like he's good. I'm not denying that he's bad or he's terrible. I think he's good, but I see him being someone who may not really may become a bench warmer either in Chelsea or if he moves up somewhere else. I don't see him being like either in the first two with the players that we've had.
So, Praddy, if I could say something, I think Fofana, for example, on pure ability, I think is a very complete centre back. I think he's a rock star. I think
Yeah.
he dipped off because of again a very serious injury where he was out for a season, more than a season, if I'm not wrong. The problem is the guy has a very bad attitude. For example, with Son Totian, when he moved to Leicester, he stopped training. He stopped showing up to training. He did the same thing at Leicester, and he seems like a player who very quickly can become very difficult for the coach to manage if he is not, coddled and not given enough playing time. And to be honest, that might not arise at Chelsea because Thiago Silva is phasing out, but you still have a very impatient club like Chelsea. And I don't think his attitude will take him far. So on pure, and I used to rate the guy until a couple of seasons ago because I thought the Saint Etienne thing was one example. Now that I see a pattern, I think if he doesn't fix his attitude, I would put him in the forgotten soon category, not even bench warmer, because you become like a lot of players. You see a lot of great players, but terrible attitude, and now they are like nowhere. You look at Douglas Costa, right? You look at players who've come in, shown so much potential, and completely like. So I think Fofana, ability-wise, maybe first teamer because he's already a first teamer at Chelsea, but if it for me he goes to the forgotten soon category because I do see him becoming this spoiled Mario Balotelli category of players.
I was actually thinking of soon forgotten, but I just felt a little too this. I think in terms of why he's on this list and probably where he'd end up, I think he's been slightly shafted. His price has inflated because of the fact that Chelsea bought him for so much and all of that. So I feel like that's the reason I put him as bench. But I do agree, like he's had tons of issues, behavioral issues. Even Brendan Rodgers has come out and said when he got the move to Chelsea, there was some texts that were sent which weren't really
Yeah.
So okay, Srivastav and Vedant, would you guys agree here if I put him in soon forgotten, or do you think maybe benchwarmer or even higher?
No, benchwarmer.
Okay.
That's like too
And Vedant?
low, I feel.
Actually, for me, soon forgotten should be the category he goes into.
Okay.
And I don't know, like it's kind of difficult. He makes it into this list of yours.
I mean, it's on my it's in fact transfer market. So yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised, but like I said, I think it's the fact
I'm
that
surprised.
it's the fact that he has been purchased for so much, and I suppose that value just adds compounds the fact that he is slightly young. He plays for a top 6 side in the Premier League. So yeah, those sort of. I think had he been still in Leicester, I don't see him having been on this list. Perhaps he would have been one of the top youth talent, that's for certain, but I don't think he would have been in the top 10 for sure.
I think even Saliba is better than him.
Right, so I mean, weirdly enough, we have an Arsenal fan who's actually been a little more considerate for a Chelsea player. But
Saliba and Fofana were the starting partnership at St.
Right? So, I mean, I watched the Premier League, and I a player like you can't say he's bad or
no, we're not saying that he's bad, but we're saying
we're not saying he's bad.
We're saying that down the line, given his attitude,
which is what I'm saying, that I don't see his career so far, despite whatever attitude problems we are all talking about. It's all been upward only. Leicester, from Leicester to Chelsea. So he's actually, no matter how he's behaved, he's actually not. His dipped is because of his injury. It's not because of his attitude.
No, I disagree here. I think Chelsea missed out on 4 centre backs to Barcelona before they went to Fofana. And secondly, it's easy to justify paying top dollar for a 21-year-old. It's very hard to justify signing a 25-year-old when he's not stepped up. Also, not accounting for that he had an ACL tear. I think ACL or MCL, I'm not sure, but I think he had like a season-long injury. So it's not just attitude. I think I think maybe our metrics are slightly different. For me, it is where I foresee the player going rather than where the player is at right now. I think, which is why I would be surprised to see him in top 10. Yeah, so that's essentially where how I base it.
So, but Srivastav, what I'm saying is soon forgotten is that he won't be on this list comes next year or even this. Like somebody will replace him, and he's the player that will probably be replaced.
That definitely. That's
so fair enough. Okay, great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
we're all on the same page. All right, let's now move on to Guardiola, or however, I don't know how you pronounce that, but
Guardiola.
Guardiola. Okay, so Guardiola without the A. So how do we? How do we do this? Or just what do you make of his career so far?
I think he's had again. I think he's very talented. I think he's a great defender. He's very no nonsense. He's one of those guys who will put his body in the line. Also very decent with the ball at his feet. The problem is been Leipzig since Ralf Rangnick and Nagelsmann left in the same year. They've had like a flurry of coaches come and go, and because they lost Upamecano, Konate, now Nodi Mukiele, they've lost some key defenders. I think this guy has been I think he suffers from the Saka at Arsenal syndrome, where he's very versatile and very good in most cases. He's outstanding in one place, but he's still better than a lot of players in other positions. So, which is why you see him on the left, playing him in the left back. You see him play sometimes in a more right centre backish role. I think he's definitely going to be one of the best centre backs in the world. I think he's already showing glimpses of that. So I would put him in for now, because he doesn't start, I think, pretty much every game for Leipzig. Immediately, I would put him bench warm. But I think even if he went to, say, a club as close to, say, Dortmund, or say maybe a team like, say, Spurs in the Premier League, I think he would probably start there, because he is very, very good. It's just like a factor of, unfortunately, the number of defenders that Leipzig have, and plus him being versatile. I think that, so I would definitely put him down as somebody who's meant for the first team. He's been able to nail down his position this season.
Fine. I think that's fair enough, because we are obviously looking into the future a few years down the line, and so if they're not starting now, if you think they're good enough to become a first teamer, Fair enough.
Yeah.
First teamer would probably be where they are. I suppose it won't be as high as maybe like the others,
Yeah, of
some
course.
of the others we have, but yeah, definitely up
Yeah.
there. All right, Srivastav and Vedant, any opposing thoughts on this, or do we go ahead and put him as a first teamer? If you've heard anything else.
I think I haven't seen enough of him right now, so I can't comment on where he goes. So
Okay.
on to Srivastava. What do you say? Should he
Srivastav.
fit in
Yes,
Arsenal?
I've not seen Musiala. How will I see him?
Fair.
Honestly,
Fair.
I don't even know how he looks, dude. If you show me a
Yeah.
picture and say he's Guardiola, I'll be like, okay, he's Guardiola. So I have no clue, but
Very,
I
very
just
blunt.
see the rumors that I think Chelsea him this season, but Leipzig didn't want to sell because like they
Yeah.
lost like a few to sell another one, but he's on the list of all the top clubs, so I think he's extremely talented. So, other than that, I can't make a comment on his future or anything.
Fair enough. I think he was probably the most out there player that was on this list. All right, so let's talk the last one, and that is Ansu Fati, who is the 11th player, but is joined 10th with Guardiola
Guardiola.
and Guardiola. Yeah, and so Vedant, Ansu Fati, like we've kind of hinted at him when we spoke about Gavi and Pedri and all these guys, but what do you make of Ansu Fati, and where do you see his career 2-3 years down the line now?
I think first of all, I think I have to say when he started his career, and I think 2 seasons back he started his career with Barcelona, and he was right there on the peak of his form, and he was a star already in that team. With Messi on the team list, he was a star. He was starting, coming on from bench, scoring, winning games for Barcelona. I think he was one of the most adored player by the Barca fans also, and
Yeah.
I'm like really sad to see him like falling again and again for an injury. I think he's rushing himself out. I think he's what happened with Pedri is happened with him and still happening with him. So I think he Barca needs to manage his game time, and after the injury, what he has shown, I think he has earned him a downgrade. So I truly believe he's a global superstar. He can make it up to that level, which is like taken by Vinicius right now in the La Liga. I'm talking about. So I hope he's there. He has a great fight with Vinicius all all around his career. So that's what best luck. I wish him best of luck. Like he should be there.
Okay.
He's a great
Yeah.
asset for La Liga, I can say.
Yeah. All right. Where would you put him now? Now we're looking like 2-3 years down the line. Do you think Barcelona will manage to say Barcelona is still there? But do you think Barcelona will still manage to will be able to manage his career? Will be able to manage his injuries? Or do you
So
are you
okay, if
unsure of it?
Barca exists after 2 3 years,
Yeah.
if okay, I'm saying if.
Yeah. Of
So I
course.
think I have to make a harsh choice, but I think he'll be a bench warmer.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think so because they are signing players in and out, left, right, center. They're signing new players. So I
Okay.
think
Okay.
Barca's pool is that much they can sign any from any player from any league. So I think, but if he doesn't improve, he'll be on the bench.
Okay. Fair enough. Ojas?
I think he needs to leave Barca. I think I think he's really good. I think he's been unlucky with injuries. I think he's also been unlucky with the club not being in a very stable position. I think now that Rafinha, Lewandowski, Dembele are the front three to go to, then you have players like Ferran Torres, and I'm sure like as we speak, Laporta is pulling off a new lever, some 29th lever to sign some other obscure player. I think Ansu Fati will not play. I think he needs to go to a club where one again we forget that he's very young. I think he's
Yeah.
21 years old. I think he needs to get away from Barca. So if he stays at Barca, I think he'd. I'm a little scared that he's forgotten soon because Barca is in itself in an identity crisis where a lot of signings are purely fan appeasement, if you ask me. Where they sign players to appease the fans and distract them from much graver issues. And I think Fatih will only suffer. So I think if Fatih went to a club which is more suited to his style, which is a little more patient, I think a club like Arsenal, where there is a Spanish coach, or maybe a club where there is some sort of a common element. Even say a team like Sevilla. I know Sevilla is not doing well this season, but say Lopetegui and Fatih would be a very, very he's the kind of guy who I would trust to get the best out of him because he's good with young players. So I think he should go somewhere, and then he has that ability to be a very strong first teamer and has that ability to potentially also be Ballon d'Or worthy. But right now, I think he's at the wrong place, like in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think, which is why I want to put him bench warmer, but if he stays at Barca, I feel like what happened to Boyan and what happened to a lot of these young players who come to Barca, I think I fear that.
Honestly, man. Okay, Srivastav, let's get your thought, then I'll give mine at the end.
I agree with what he said because especially I think he had like when he started out, he had like a breakout season, like when he first, and then he had an injury, like I think he had 2 injuries or something back to back or something like that. Actually gone back to that first level. Like it's actually been a while, like 6 months or something. I think it's been longer than that. So he's had his breakout season. I don't remember it correctly, but I think he's had his breakout season 3 years back, not like
1920.
Yeah.
1920.
Yeah. So given that it's been 3 years now, I don't think he hasn't gotten back his own position. So I think it would be like him in the bench warmer region for now, because he's had like a couple of years to come back to that level.
Yeah.
So there's no signs of like he's very talented, but he's not been on the first team for a while now. So based on that, how can you make a prediction that he will be in the top? So for that reason, I would say bench warmer. Yeah.
Okay. Vedant, yeah. Closing
So
thoughts.
I have to address two things. So it's like it's not even his fault that he has been rugged over seasons. I think Barcelona are not addressing their player well. So
Yeah.
I don't know how they gave him the number 10. It's so much for a youngster, man. You can't give him the shirt Leo Messi has just left in a tragic transfer
Exactly.
window.
Yeah.
That's so much pressure. You can't wear that shirt and play like him.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Barcelona needs to
that's a massive point actually. That's a really good point to make because jerseys do
So
crazy things, right?
also, Brady, if you look at his stats, since his breakout season, he's played 7 games in the season after because of injury, 10 games in the season, the last season. So he's played less games combined in the last 2 seasons because of injury than he did in his breakout season. So he's been
But
very
also
unlucky.
Yeah, so that's
also the
good
fact
because he had his breakout season a while ago, and he was very good then. Like there was no doubt. It's been
It's
a
just been
considerable
injuries and
amount of time. Yeah, he's
yeah.
unlucky for sure. I'm not
of course,
blaming him.
no, absolutely, no, yeah.
The thing is, dude, like you being benched by someone who has a worse injury record than most players in the world, and that is Ousmane Dembele, right? That guy's
Yeah.
But to
if
be
that guy spent
fair,
more. No, I mean
Dembele is rocking it now.
No. Right now, like there's no doubting Dembele's talent. Like the same with Fati, right? Like his talent when he came on, like crazy, and Dembele's talent is insane. Like to be fair, some would even say that he was better than Mbappe at some points without the injury.
Right.
But
I believe it
like,
now.
exactly. But the thing is, like you're being benched by someone who's had such a terrible injury list, and fair play to Dembele for picking it up. And that's what I think Srivastav mentioned, that Fati has had injuries, but also had games in between where he could have probably tried to get back. I do agree that he's been unlucky, that injuries probably hampered his progress that way. When he came onto the scene with Messi, like Vedant mentioned, I think he was outstanding. He was like what Pedri is right now, in the sense that he was such a breakout star. I was like, shit, if Messi leaves or something, this guy is on there to, I'm not say completely replace, but they've got a superstar in him. And of course,
Exactly my point. Yes.
that injury came in, and of course Vedant's mentioning about giving him the number 10, which puts a huge pressure, like in a club like Barcelona. Like Madrid probably did the best thing and gave number 7 off to like Mariano, because they knew he wasn't going to do much with it, right? Like, imagine
Papa
them
Perez
giving
things only.
yeah, exactly. So they were like smart about it, give it to somebody who anyway wasn't going to break out, so that they don't have any pressure on that. So yeah, all in all, combined, I do feel for him. I do agree with Ojas saying, with the fact that if he stays at Barcelona, where there is not only a carousel of managers, but also a carousel of players, because they seem to just buy players left, right, and center without thinking that they would actually keep them for the long haul. It is okay, you prove this season you're good enough, otherwise next season you're out. And then the only reason I feel like Barcelona will be hesitant to sell Fati is because of how much he's endeared himself to the fans and what he means to the club and what he did in his breakout. But a few more years down the line, you never know. They would be like, why am I paying this guy so much? Or if he comes asking for a little of a price hike, they're like, screw it, let's just cut the arm off. And they will buy someone else to appease the fans who are upset that they sold Ansu Fati. And that helps. And that helps Ansu because he gets a better place. But I suppose for Barcelona, it doesn't mean much because they already have a star in Pedri and Gavi, who they can say like, oh, look, we've got Pedri and Gavi already in the squad. Like, who cares now if Fati leaves, because we've already got someone, another superstar, which that's in true Barca fashion. They'll probably lose Pedri in the same window. So all in all, I think this is, to those of you watching or to those of you listening, this is how our tier list looks like for the top 10 or top 11 youth talent in men's football. I'm glad we could fill up each tier, even though it was not a necessity, but I think it fairly represents each one. And I'm pretty sure, except for of course, we could talk day and night about Rodrigo, and I'm sure Srivastav would want to fight it out till the end, but we don't have time for that. We are going to end this tier list episode on a happy note, where we all agree that this is what it looks like. If you do have any opposing views to this, you can let us know on Twitter, on Instagram, when I post the episode. But I guess that's about it for episode 2 of season 2 of the It's Classified series. Thank you, Ojas, Srivastav, and Vedant, for coming onto this podcast and giving your thoughts on this particular topic. I wish it wasn't raining in Mumbai so we could have you clear throughout the entire thing, but I'm glad we could still have you on for whatever we've managed to do, and we've had some really, really nice opinions and thoughts on this. And really, this episode is anyway going to be controversial, because this entire series was based on subjectivity, right? Nothing is objective in this, so this is going to enter into huge debates on Twitter, hopefully, and on Instagram. So let's try and get this rolling. And like I said, but first of all, before I thank the fans for watching us, thank you for coming on to this podcast and giving your thoughts on this. I hope you had fun, and I can't wait to host you in the near future.
Great. Thanks, Paddy. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Vedant. Thanks, Srivastav. It was great chatting with you guys.
For the opportunity, Paddy. It's been great.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And I guess to the fans who are listening and watching us, please do hit the like button, comment down below on what you think the tier list should look like. Do leave a like, do comment, share, subscribe. And if you want to be a part of the podcast as well, do let us know either on Instagram or on Twitter. We'd love to have you on here and hear your thoughts, whether it be on this series or on other series as well. I guess that's about it for episode 2. I'm your host, Paddy, once again. You stay safe and see you.